Hello everyone, this is lesson 1.3, Big Ideas Math, 8th grade. Please make sure you copy this down, so make sure you press pause and copy this down. Also, please don't forget to put your name, the date, and the lesson title, which is 1.3. Thank you very much. Alright, let's start off with this question. Please don't get afraid because it is a word problem. We just got to draw it out so we can understand it. It says like this: the value of the perimeter of the figure. Well, first of all, what is perimeter? Perimeter means you want to add up all the sides. This, and this. Now, we don't know what this is and we don't know what this is. But if you look right here, we know that's a 6. And if we go over here, we know that's x. So we have some information. Alright, we didn't even finish the problem. Let's finish the problem. So we know that's 6, we know that's x. It says the value of the perimeter is equal, so we know that the perimeter is equal to what? The value of the area. Well, we have some formulas. Perimeter means to add up all of the sides, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Add up all the sides. And area for a rectangle we know is base times height. So let's plug in this information and see if we can figure this out. So perimeter is going to be 6 plus x plus 6 plus x. Well, I know 6 plus 6 is 12. 1x plus another 1x. Remember, guys, if you don't remember this, there is an invisible number here. This is 1x, right? And this is also an invisible number. It just tells me, I have 1x. Alright, so we have 6 plus 6 gave me 12. And then 1x plus 1x gives me 2x. Good. So we found the perimeter. Now we want to find the area. Well, we know area is base times height. So it's going to be 6 times x. Well, what is 6 times x? Another way to write that would be just to write 6x. Now, all we need to do is solve for the letter x. Well, how do we do that? We have variables on two sides. So we need to get rid of this. I'm going to move this onto this side. No, we have two sides, right? So I'm going to do minus 2x. Don't forget to cross it off. Then minus 2x. So now we have 6x minus 2x. We know that's a positive, right? So that means subtract. We get 4x. Bring down your equal sign. Now we have 12. Well, how do we get this x isolated all by itself? We have an operation right there, and that is multiplication. So what is the opposite of multiplication? That is division. Don't forget to cross out the 4's. Cross out the 4's only. Don't cross out 4 and x, just the 4's. That means this x drops down. This equal sign drops down. So we divided 4 here. That means we got to divide 4 here. And 12 divided by 4 will give you 3. So the answer for this problem is 3. Alright, let's move on to the next one. I'm going to give you the answer before and see if you can figure it out based off of what we just did. I'd expect you guys to press pause, rewind the problem, and see if you can figure it out. But the answer for this one is 1.5. Still got to show your work though. Alright, same question. The value of the perimeter of the figure is equal to the value of the area. So we know that P is going to equal A. We know that our perimeter means to add up all the sides. And then our area means base times height. Okay, so let's find our perimeter first. We're going to do 6 plus this 6, right? We know that's 6. That's going to give us 12 again. And then we have 2x. And on this side, we have a 2x. So 2x plus 2x will give us 4x. All right. And to find area, we need to do our base times our height. So base times height, what is 6 times 2x? So 6 times 2x should give us 12x. Now we just want to combine like terms. So I'm going to move this on this side. So to do that, we're going to have to do the opposite of this positive 4. And the opposite of positive 4 is negative 4x. Please don't forget to cross that off. Then we have negative 4x. And 12x minus 4x will give you 8x. Don't forget to bring down that equal sign. So now you have 12 is equal to 8x. Well, we need to get rid of that x all by itself. We know there's an invisible multiplication sign there. The opposite of multiplication is division. Cross it off. Divide. So now we just got to divide. 12 divided by 8. Does 8 go into 12? Yes, it does. It goes in there one time. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract that. 12 minus 8 is 4. Add our decimal. Bring down the 0. 8. How many times does 8 go into 40? Don't forget to bring your decimal up. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. So it looks our answer for this problem is going to be x is equal to 1.5. All right, let's move on to the next one. Here we go. Notice that we have variables on both sides. That means we want to combine like terms. Now, when we want to combine like terms, remember we got two sides. And we need to do the opposite. One rule that I expect you all to write down is please write this down somewhere. I'll just put it right up here. You can not have a negative variable. All right. So an example of that, you'll see that you can't have a negative variable where there's some stuff that we need to do. Okay. So when we get to that, we'll remind ourselves. But remember, you cannot have a negative variable. Make sure you say that to yourself and don't forget. All right. So we're going to move this y on this side. That means we need to get rid of it. We need to do the opposite. The question is that a positive y or is that a negative y? Okay. How do we know? Think the best way to say it is like Beyonce's song, everything's to the left. So this to the left of it is a negative. All right. So what's to the left of this y? Nothing, which means it's positive. All right. So with that being said, if that's a positive y, what's the opposite of adding y? That's going to be subtracting y. Don't forget to cross it off. All right. And then we're going to subtract y. In the first question, we reminded ourselves that there is an invisible number, and that is 1. So what is 4y minus 1y? You're going to get 3y. Bring down that equal sign. Now you have negative 12. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what operation is in between that 3 and that y? It is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So let's divide by 3. Whatever you do on one side, do it to the other. Divide by 3. And 12 divided by 3 is going to give us 4. We know it's negative because a negative divided by, so a negative divided by a positive is negative. Okay, so that's negative 4 is equal to the letter y. All right, let's do another one. Here we go. Here's number 4. If you want to press pause, I'll give you the answer and see if you can figure it out on your own. N is equal to 3. Press pause, see if you can show your work and figure it out. All right. So we have two choices here. We can move this 6 over there, or we can move this N over that way, over this line. One of them is easier than the other. Right now, the red one is easier. Let me explain really quick, because if I did minus 6n minus 6n, that's 1n, right? They are different signs. Different signs means we need to subtract. So 6 minus 1 is 5n, but that's negative. Notice it's a negative variable. We do not want to have negative variables, all right? It's not that it's wrong. It just makes extra work. So let's see if we can get rid of that. We're going to move this on that side. So this is a positive n. So what is the opposite of adding positive n? It is subtracting n. Don't forget to cross it off. Subtract n. There is an invisible number. What's that invisible number? It is 1. So 6n minus 1n gives you 5n. That means we need to move this negative 12 this way. So what is the opposite of negative 12? That is positive 12. Whatever you do on one side, do it to the other. So you now have positive 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. Okay. And then bring down the equal sign. Well, ladies and gentlemen, how do you get the letter n by itself, or how do we isolate it? There is an invisible symbol there, that is multiplication. So the opposite of multiplying 5 is dividing by 5. Whatever you do on one side, do it to the other. So 15 divided by 5 is going to give you 3. All right, good job. Let's move on to the next one. Again, if you want to press pause and then answer, I'll give you the answer right now so you can do your work. Your answer should come out to Q is equal to 15. All right, let's try to show our work. So check this out, guys. We have this and then we have this. So we want to move it. Notice I see that's a negative variable, so I'm already thinking I want to move this on that side. Okay, so let's do that. What is the opposite of subtracting 2 over 5q? Well, that's going to be adding 2 over 5q. Don't forget to cross it off. Whatever you do on one side, do it to the other. So now you have 1 over 5q plus 2 over 5q. Well, how do we add fractions? We need to have a common what? Denominator. And then 1 plus 2 gives you 3 over 5. Keep the same denominator. 3 over 5q is equal to 9. All right, well, what operation do we have here? That is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. All right, don't forget to cross it off. Whatever you do on one side, do it to the other. Well, remember we said we had two options. We can divide like this, or we can divide horizontally. One of them is easier than the other, and that's one is easier. And I hope you understand why in the next few seconds. Well, how do you divide a whole number and a fraction? You put it over 1, flip the second fraction, so you now have 9 over 1 times 5 over 3. That's how you flip the second fraction, turn the division into multiplication. We can simplify right here. What number goes into 9 and 3? Well, it's 3, so 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. How do you multiply fractions? You multiply fractions straight across. 3 times 5 is 15. 1 times 1 is 1. So another way to write this is q is equal to just 15. And there we go. Let's do another one. Number 6. Question number 6. If you want to press pause again and do your own work, we know that the answer is going to equal 5. All right, let's see if we can figure it out. Okay, so we have a choice. We can move that way, or over this, or we can move it that way. Which one do you guys think is going to be easier? Remember, we said we don't want to have negative variables, and one of them is more than the other. Right now, the red one is easier, so we're going to do minus 4.3d, cross it off, minus 4.3d. Now we got to subtract. 8 minus 3 is 5. Bring down your decimal. 5 minus 4 is 1, so we have 1.5d. Bring down that equal sign. You now have 7.5 is equal to 1.5d. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what invisible operation is right there? It is multiplication. What is the opposite of multiplication? Division. So we're going to divide by 1.5. Divide by 1.5. And now let's divide. So you have 7.5 divided by 1.5. Well, remember how we do division with decimals on the outside? We don't like to do that, so we're going to move it this way one time. That means we're going to move it this way one time, move it straight up. And now let's see, how many times does 15 go into 75? 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. So it should be 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7. So it looks like your answer for this problem is going to be D is equal to 5. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, we got some distributive property. I like it. If you want to press pause on this one, your answer for this one is going to be H is equal to negative 3. All right. So let's do some distributive property first. 6 times h is 6h. 6 times 4 is 24. Rewrite the problem. You now have negative 2h. Now, you know how I said where you can't have a negative variable? There's a few things you can do. You can actually move a lot of stuff over. You can do plus 2h, right? You're going to do the opposite of everything. So you would move this over here, and then move this and this over here, and then restart the problem. But that's a lot of work, so we're not going to do that. So we're just going to leave it like this. We're going to leave negative 2h on that side. It's going to make a lot more sense really quick. 6 times h is 6h. 6 times 4 is 24. All right, so now let's show our work. Minus 6h. Minus 6h. They are the same sign, which means we need to add. 6 plus 2 is 8. They're both negative, so that's going to be negative 8h. Bring down your equal sign. And now you have 24. Well, what invisible operation is right there? It's multiplication. What is the opposite of multiplying by negative 8? That's going to be dividing by negative 8. Divide this by negative 8. And you now have what is 24 divided by 8? That's going to give you 3 is equal to h. But what is a positive divided by a negative? And your answer should be negative 3. All right, let's move on to the next one. Looks like we got 6 more. All right, let's do another one. Let's simplify. 3 times b is 3b. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Now I have 5b minus 2. So we have a choice. We can move that way, or we can move that way. It's going to be easier to do this. Oh, by the way, if you want to do your answer for this one, b is equal to negative 5. All right, so let's do minus 3b minus 3b. What is 5b minus 3b? That's 2b, right? We do have more positives than we have negatives. Now let's move this that way. The opposite of subtracting 2 is adding 2. Let's add 2. They are different signs, so if they are different signs, you have to subtract. 12 minus 2 is 10. We do have more negatives than positives. So that's negative 10. Well, what invisible operation is right there? It is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. Divide that by 2, divide that by 2. And you now have b is equal to 10 divided by 2 is 5. The negative stays, so you now have b is equal to negative 5. All right, let's try another one. Number 13. Looks like we skipped a few. So, ladies and gentlemen, this one's going to be a little tricky. It's not tricky. It's just sometimes questions don't have answers. That's it. Some questions don't have answers. So let's see if it makes sense. All right. So we're going to move this over here, right? Because we always want to have a balanced seesaw. If there's a person here and then there's a person here, you want to make sure that everything is balanced. All right. So because if we did this, right, minus 8x, that means there's nothing over there. It'd be 8x plus 3 is equal to literally nothing because we got rid of it, right? You can't do that. All right, so let's see. That means we got to move this to the other side. So that's a positive 8x. So the opposite of adding 8x is subtracting 8x. Don't forget to cross it off. Whatever you do on one side, do it to the other. Subtract 8x. So what is 8x minus 8x? Well, that's going to give you 0. Bring down everything down. And now here's your question, guys. Can 3 equal 0? Like, is that a possible answer? Can 0 equal 3 or 3 equal 0? No, it cannot. Which means this question has no solution. And a lot of this is going to make sense when we start chapter 3, 4, and 5. No solution. There's going to be some questions that don't have a solution. All right, let's try another one. Number 14. Let's show all of our work. Negative 25 times 10 is negative 250. Negative 25 times negative x is plus 25x. Bring that down, equals 25x plus 250. All right, let's move this on that side. So what is the opposite of adding 25x? That's going to be subtracting 25x, right? Because we want to move it over here. So let's combine them. So what's the opposite of subtracting 25x? These are called, if you guys don't remember, when you're adding them like this is called an additive inverse. Anything that additive inverse is going to equal 0. So 25x minus 25x is going to give you 0. Let's rewrite the problem. So you now have 250, don't have to write plus 0, equals, sorry, negative 250 equals a positive 250. Is this true? Can negative 250 equal positive 250? Nope. So that means this question has no solution. Boom. All right, let's move on to the next one. Looks like we got 3 more. So let's take a look at this one. X plus 1 equals x plus 1. So just like in the last one, had no solution. In some questions, there can be an infinite amount of solutions. What that means, there can be lots of answers. And a lot of it's going to make sense when we start talking about graphs and moving forward, okay? It's going to make a lot of sense. All right, so let's just look at this question. There's not even any work to do. X plus 1 equals x plus 1. Is that true? Can x plus 1 equal x plus 1? Yep. So even if you did show your work, let's see, minus 1, you now have x is equal to x. Or if you did it the other way, let's see, if you did minus x, you now have 1 is equal to 1, which is still true, which means there's an infinite amount of solution. All right, let's do 2 more. Let's check it out. We have 6x times 2x, 6 times 2x, that'll give you 12x. 6 times 4, which gives you 24. By the way, guys, I know I'm moving quite fast, but make sure you are pressing pause, trying to solve these questions on your own, and then we will move forward together. All right, 4 times 3 is 12x. 4 times 6 is 24. What do you guys notice already? 24 is equal to 24, and 12x is equal to 12x. Honestly, there's nothing left to do. So you should already know your answer, that there are infinitely amount of solutions, an infinite amount of solutions. All right, let's try the next one. Number 17. Let's see what we got to do. Well, let's get rid of this x and move it that way. So that's minus x. Minus x, know that there's an invisible number. What's that invisible number? It is 1. What is 5x minus 1x? That's going to give you 4x is equal to 2. Well, there's an invisible operation there. What is it? It's multiplication. The opposite of dividing by 4 is the opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. Divide this by 4, and I hope that you guys already know that 2/4 is equal to 1/2, and I hope you know that 1/2 is also equal to 0.5. All right, last one for today. Let's show our work. Let's combine like terms. So what like terms do we have? I have this, and then I have this. Notice that we do have 2 sides, so let's make sure we bring those that way. But before that, we can combine some things. Let's combine the 5x and the negative x. So I know some of you, I saw this in homework, you're like, oh, plus x, that's no. They are on the same side, which means you can physically take it and just drop it in right there. So you can rewrite the equation like this: 5x minus x plus 2. Okay, so make sure that you don't make that mistake. The only time you can do plus x or the opposite is when you move it across the equal sign. So unless you move it across the equal sign, there's no way for you to do that. All right, so let's go back. Let's restart. Let's combine this, negative x and 5x. Well, negative x and 5x will give you 4x plus 2 is equal to negative 4x. Well, what is the opposite of adding 4x? That is subtracting 4x. Subtract 4x, and now you have 2 is equal to, well, they are the same sign, right? Same sign, you have to add. So 4 plus 4 is 8x. You keep the sign. So what invisible operation is right there? It is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So let's divide by negative 8. Divide by negative 8. So I hope you guys remember this, that 2/8 is also equal to 1/4. 1/4 is also equal to 0.25. But don't forget the negative. So these are your possible answers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our lesson for today. I hope you guys did well. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.